The reason I'm all dressed up is, well, today's our 3,000th show. So to celebrate that television milestone, I'm throwing a giant party. I've rented a fancy nightclub for the night, and I catered food, I hired waiters, I've even hired a house band. Wait till you see it, it's great. My staff will be here with me, all my celebrity friends, and you're invited too. Everybody who's anybody is going to be there, and you'll get to meet them. Okay? I'm calling it the Jerry Springer 3000th Show 15-year rockin' celebration. And it starts at the stroke of 8. Now, I hate to use up the next 5 minutes with tons of applause and cheers, but look, I've been on for 3,000 shows, so you'll just have to bear with the cheers of my staff and friends, okay? Party starts in 3, 2, let's go in. Eli, what's going on? The party started at 8. Well, you know, my staff and all my celebrity friends, they're all a bunch of practical jokers. I'm sure any moment now they're all going to pop up and yell surprise. Between you and me, I'll act surprised, okay, when they do. But while we're waiting, let's take a look back at 15 years of the Jerry Springer Show. It's hard to believe that it's been 15 years since I first walked into that studio in Cincinnati for our very first show. Little did I know I was about to embark on the wildest ride of my life. That very first episode was watched nationwide by 6 people, half of whom were related to me. Now, the fun part of this, for me, is to look back at 15 years ago and see myself with my hair cut short, my big glasses. For a minute, I thought I was watching a Napoleon Dynamite movie. The funny thing is, 15 years ago, the set was just a couple of painted flats propped up against the wall. Now, 15 years later, I have a great set, and I'm propped up against the wall. Now, amazingly, the worst show in the history of television had a very tender beginning. It all began on September 30th, 1991, with a big surprise. Here's a peek at the very first Jerry Springer Show. And you know what? We have a nice surprise for you today, okay?
What?
You are going to meet your daughter, Sandy, who you have not seen in 35 years. Sandy? Sandy? Come on. That was our very first episode 15 years ago. A few things have changed in that time. I mean, take a look at the show we did just last week. All right, so the show has changed a little over the years, but one thing hasn't changed. That episode last week was also watched by 6 people, although my relatives stopped watching years ago. Is the filet still warm?
It's getting cold.
Well, my staff is still waiting to surprise me, but before my staff and celebrity friends pop out and all the craziness begins, let's take a look at some more clips from that very first season. You knew when you were talking with the Iranians about getting the hostages back that is exactly what the President of the United States had said on television. We will not deal with the terrorists. He was telling other countries, please don't deal with the Iranians, don't deal with the terrorists.
Yeah, and even to this day, in his own memoirs, President Reagan says, we really didn't trade arms for hostages because we were dealing with the Iranians, and the Iranians weren't the captors. It's a distinction without a difference, as far as I'm concerned.
If in fact Brian's in a smoking section, doesn't he have the right to smoke?
Well, yes, he does. However, the rules are changing. In California especially, they are banning smoking left and right in restaurants, workplaces, and all public places. And the prediction is that's going to happen throughout America within the next 2 or 3 years.
But the reality is, every night on our newscasts, we've got stories about the crime and the great problems in our inner cities. And I think it's important that America gets to see the other face, too. That you don't have to be born rich to make it, and
that not everyone that lives in a project is on ABC or Social Security or having kids just to get more money on their check.
And you've got a pretty good life going right now. As I understand it, what, you're a senior in high school?
Yeah.
What's next?
College.
You're going to college.
Mr. Springer, the ice cream is starting to melt.
Well, that was basically our first year. Obviously, things are different today. I mean, when we return, the defining moment in Springer history, the very first fight on the Jerry Springer Show. The niceness is gone. When we return, please stay with us.
Let's go! Get over here! You got the right to remain silent! Wait a minute! Hey, Jerry, congratulations on your 3,000th show! Come on, let's go!